Morning, everyone. I'm Jamie Stark, co-founder of Farming Hope. We are a social enterprise in San Francisco, employing homeless individuals in garden and cooking work. Our vision is to grow opportunity through food. And so our mission is that we employ and empower neighbors experiencing or at risk of homelessness to grow food and feed others. We've really identified this need for homeless individuals to be needed in their community. And growing food, cooking it, and serving others creates that sense of being needed once again. We like to say that our slogan is turning the soup kitchen on its head by hiring the people who used to wait in line to cook food and feed others. This is the Farming Hope model. So we start by getting references for employees through homeless partner agencies, and they interview with us, start working with us, and they work in part-time and transitional jobs, both in cooking and gardening. We have urban garden shifts and kitchen and serving shifts in San Francisco, where in the kitchen shifts, we use produce from the gardens, highlighting what's seasonal and producing food for the community. There are three benefits that come out of these two types of job shifts that our employees do. The first and foremost is the job skills that can lead to better employment. When they're working with us, they're working with a very tangible product and they can see their progress, whether it's working with people or working with food. We hope that gets them to their main goal, their personal career goals, and our goal for them, getting full-time stable employment. A second benefit is that community awareness. At our food events, our pop-up dinners, we've got people who are not homeless, people who are homeless eating together. And that togetherness can really create a greater sense of understanding and empathy. The third benefit that these two types of work is this creation of local sustainable food. We're growing some food in our gardens, and we're also creating meals that are healthier for our homeless neighbors, that are healthier for everybody, and that's creating a greater food source for whoever comes and eats with us. So to go in even further into that, there's this triple benefit to every community that could have a Farming Hope team. First, we're hiring our homeless neighbors to get up and out of the streets and into their career goals. Second, we're greening our cities by growing food in our gardens. And third, we're feeding and educating the community at large as they gather at our pop-ups. Here we've got on the left a picture of Philip, one of our graduates, our former employees, watering at the Tenderloin People's Garden, some lettuce he's planted, as well as preparing some butternut squash there at the right in our kitchen, and in the middle a prepared meal quesadilla with a citrus salad. And this is the type of mostly vegetarian food that we serve folks, homeless and not homeless, together in our soup kitchen flipped on its head. So what's our primary metric for employees? What are we really trying to get at? And it's this question: what is their employment status after working with Farming Hope? We really want our individuals to graduate from our transitional employment program into full-time or stable employment that can get them housed, that can get them paying their bills. And so we've been hiring people in San Francisco since January, and of the 13 employees we've worked with since then, all have graduated to find full-time or stable employment. One example is Munir. He worked with us in our summer cohort, and he just graduated to work at a Japanese restaurant full-time as a cook in San Francisco. This is a guy who was living in a shelter and is now making enough money to soon start paying his apartment. We look at our investment as really worth it. Okay, so to break it down, it's about $1,800 for 3 months of paychecks for a part-time employee. Not a lot of money if you think about how much money you might make in a year. And if that can transition people into full-time employment that they can sustain themselves and start paying into the system, that's a huge savings on what it costs society. For a homeless individual out on the street, it can cost over $62,000 per year spent on social and emergency services for just maintaining that person, whether that's going in and out of the hospital and not paying their bills, police costs, paying for the shelter in the soup kitchen. It adds up, costing the tax base on average $62,000. And so that's for a year. If we're employing folks for 3 to 6 months at $1,800 per 3 months, it's a much lesser cost for society, and it's also helping them get to the point where they're paying back into that system. And so who are these people we're hiring? We call them the transitionally ambitious. These are folks who are willing and able to work even though they're homeless. They're facing major barriers to employment. One is a criminal record. It's hard to be homeless without getting a criminal record. Another one is not having a job on your resume in a long time. A third is not having the confidence that you could maintain a job because you've been out of work for a while and you're not sure if people will trust you with that opportunity. This is Katan here on the right, working at one of our farmers markets. He had suffered from PTSD and ended up working for us first in the garden to get some of that therapy and peaceful time, and then started working food shifts with people as well. He's now since moved on to work full time at a hotel in San Francisco. And we really think that having this job and experience on his resume helped him transition. And Katan is just one of about 22,000 individuals experiencing homelessness in the San Francisco Bay Area. I estimate up to a quarter of those are within this category of the transitionally ambitious. That is, they could be helped by the opportunity of a transitional job that gets them the skills, the resume, and the confidence they couldn't necessarily get from another service program. So who's running all this? Myself and Kevin are the co-founders, as well as our 7-person board of advisors. There's 3 folks, Aisha, Melody, and Zia, who are helping us as part-time employees, as well as 4 part-time volunteers who really get the job done with us. A little bit more about Kevin and myself. We met at the Stanford Educational Farm. We were volunteering. Kevin was TAing out there. We eventually took a design thinking course together about redoing the food system and really found we had some major shared values around not just wanting to cook nice food for rich folks, but use food as a tool for social change and to change the way we're doing charity. And so we started Farming Hope just over a year ago at the Stanford Design School Incubator after we graduated, and started working full-time on Farming Hope after that. Who do we work with? Downtown Streets Team, Hospitality House. These are service providers that refer us employees. The Tenderloin Neighborhood Development Council and USF help us with garden space. And we've really found that working with partners, collaborating is integral to the way we get things done, that it's not just a couple of us working on this, but our community working together. And funding has been mostly supported by the Stanford Design School starting us off, grants from Whole Foods, grants from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, and pop-up partnership space for our dinners with Feastly in San Francisco. We've also got some very generous individual donors, and so I broke down where our money comes from into the simple graph here. Most of our money comes from grants, from foundations. Just over 20% comes from individual donations, including a large fundraiser we had this summer for our first year anniversary. And almost 20% of our revenue comes from earned income or food sales through catering, through our pop-up dinners, through our farmers market stands. We're very proud of that number, that about 1/5 of what we generate comes from sales and not just donations or grants. What are our goals for this next year? We want to raise the funds to hire 28 homeless individuals. That involves 3 major goals to get those employment positions. The first is continuing to build our central garden in San Francisco to have a greater source of food and employment. Second major goal, building our catering company so we can, again, add more shifts and generate more earned revenue. And the third is we're starting our scaling with a pilot team in San Jose, starting by hiring 3 homeless individuals this Thanksgiving to start a garden and a weekly food shift. Where are we going from there? What's our long-term vision? We want to have 5 Farming Hope City teams in 5 cities across California. We also, we're starting that by having our second team in our second year in San Jose. We also want to get to a 50-50 funding model. So right now we're at 20-80, 20 earned revenue, 80 donated. We want to get to 50-50 in terms of half of our income coming from food sales in order to be more sustainable, to have a more predictable funding source, and to really be more of a food business. Our goal for within that 5 years is to have 150 homeless individuals move to full-time employment and housing. So to wrap up here, how can you get involved? There's plenty of ways to, if you live in the Bay Area, get involved with Farming Hope, learn more about what we do, and help us continue to get off the ground and get growing. The first is helping us pilot our catering company. If you have a team or an organization that needs lunch or dinner, certainly talk to us about bringing food and our mission and our employees to cook and possibly eat with you. You can also schedule a team building volunteer day at one of our gardens, especially our central garden in San Francisco or our new garden in San Jose, to really help us build that up, but also get a bit more involved in your community and interact with the population your employees might not always see. And the last is just come eat with us. Bring a friend to one of our pop-up dinners, which are in San Francisco at the moment, and really see what we're all about it by joining us at the table. I'm happy to open it up now for questions. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, feel free to email anytime, team@farminghope.org. I want to thank you so much for listening and all you do in your communities.